what shape do you see in this?
Circle.
Good job. It's just a dash. That's all it is. But when you look at the whole thing, you see a circle. There's a theory of psychology called Gestalt psychology. It says that the whole is always greater than the sum of its parts. My name is Amelie Bennett. I'm a 16-year-old senior here at Waterford High School, and I wholeheartedly agree. See, when I look at my life, I don't just see little isolated fragments. I see me. And if you listen to some of my life, you'll see who I am too. I can show you the person I am today through the memories of my past, the experiences of my present, and my goals for the future. So I believe that my memories shape me, so I brought in Julia to represent the memories of my family. Julia reminds me of how much my parents were always there for me. When I was almost 3 years old, my parents had another baby, and I really wanted her to be named Julia. So when they told me that my sister's name was Maggie, I was so mad. A few days later, my dad, seeing how upset I was, he got me this polar bear so that I could name it Julia. At the time, I was just happy to have a bear. Now I'm amazed that just days after having a baby, my parents had enough energy to deal with me and my naming crisis. It's the first time I remember them being there for me, and they've continued to do so ever since. Julia also represents my relationship with my sister pretty well. When I was little, I liked my bear a lot more than I liked Maggie. But they've gradually switched places in my life, starting with the time when I think I was about 6 years old, so she would have been almost 3, and I was sick, and she saw that I was sad, so she went into my room and got my polar bear to try to make me feel better. And it's the first time that I remember her actually being nice and liking her. And that's been a kind of a constant thing. So Julia brings back some of my first memories of my family, which is why I think this old stuffed animal represents my past pretty well. Now, I didn't have a fit over my next sister's name, but to be honest, I was too busy dancing to worry about what her name would be. Because I dance so much, I brought in my point shoes to represent my present. If I'm not at school, you can probably find me at dance. I spend about 20 hours a week there. I've been going to the same studio since I was 7 years old. And there's about 6 hours of that week I spend wearing these, dancing on the ends of my toes. They don't come soft. I have to spend a lot of time breaking them in and getting them all molded to my feet so I can actually wear them. These are about as hard as bricks when I first get them. But it's taken me even more time and dedication to become the dancer I am today. And I think that dancing has made me a strong person more than anything. But they don't just represent me metaphorically. These literally have me inside of them. I mean, my blood, sweat, and tears. If you look on the inside of, yeah, it's this one. There's a nice little blood stain. It's great. But there's no way that these couldn't be a huge part of who I am, given how much of me they have in them. So these shoes represent my present, both physically and figuratively. And because I love dancing so much, I hope to eventually be a professional dancer with Ballet West, because that's one of the companies I'm not too tall to join. But I know that I physically can't dance forever. So this book of medical terminology represents what I'd like to do with my future. It's really amazing how much goes on inside of us just under the surface that we never even stop to think about. But if even one thing stopped working, we could die. And that sounds kind of morbid, but it's always fascinated me. So I know if any of you have ever taken this class, you know that the book itself isn't super fun, but that's what I'd like to do someday. Fortunately, studying the human body is a pretty big business. This book also represents the field I'd like to go into, which is physical therapy. I'm constantly surrounded by people hurting themselves being a dancer. We've got sprained ankles and scoliosis and tendonitis. This summer I helped straighten out the leg of a girl with a dislocated knee, and she didn't speak any English. So that was a good time. Just because I'm always surrounded by these people hurting themselves, I'd like to someday not only be the one asking them when they're going to get better, but be the one helping them to get there. Most dance companies have resident physical therapists, and that's what I'd like to do someday. So my MedTerms textbook leads me towards my goal. By looking at my past memories, present lifestyle, and goals for the future, you can see who I am today. Julia represents the memories I have with my family. My point shoes represent pretty much everything about me right now. And my MedTerms book represents what I'd like to do with my future. When you look at these objects, I hope you don't just see isolated fragments, because that's sure not what I see. Even though these are just little dashes in my life, when they're put together, there's so much more. They're me.